Hi, I'm Andrea Kane. I write from your books. My new book, The Girl Who Disappeared Twice, came out last month, and I'm very excited about it. The Girl Who Disappeared Twice is about a little kindergartner who's kidnapped. She has two very high-profile parents. Her mother's a judge, her father is a defense attorney, and they have the entire law enforcement with the FBI, the local law enforcement, everyone looking. But because her mother had a traumatic situation in her childhood where her twin sister was kidnapped at pretty close to the same age, right from the bed beside her, she is traumatized and is not able to just say, let's go with regular law enforcement. So she hires Forensic Instincts, which is a sort of a maverick team of investigators who operate in the law, on the boundaries of the law, and sometimes a little bit on the outside of the law, to do what needs to be done, which is what she needs done to have her child come back. I wrote this book because I really was very interested. I was very psyched about writing a team for the first time, and they sort of presented themselves one by one, and I saw them as a unit, and it was extremely challenging and very difficult to write because I was writing the story itself, and at the same time I was developing the team so that it was a balance and the readers could get the relationships part of it that I wanted to come across, and the fear of that the mother went through having her child be taken, and at the same time developing forensic instincts because they're each so vital in their own way. So it was enormously challenging. What excites me about it, but as a reader, is pretty much what makes me excited as a writer, and that is I'm very character driven. I think that the best stories come from the characters themselves, because for me, if you don't care about the character, you really don't care about the story. And even if it's exciting, it's that kind of dry procedural feeling, and I don't like that. So for me, the characters are the beginning and the middle of the end. Their relationships, all of them, and how they interact. So even when it comes to the antagonist, the villain, it's a development the same way. It's what motivates him or her. Why I would say psychological thrillers, because I get to integrate the human mind, which is so fascinating to me, along with the excitement of the plot, and then the most important thing is developing the characters and making them evolve into the plot. So that, I think, is it. As a reader, what excites me is the same thing as a writer that excites me. I'm a pacing person also. I'm not very good with reading long-winded descriptions, and I'm terrible at writing them. I mean, if I had to say what my editor would have to come back and say to me most frequently, it would be, you'd have to add a little visual description here before you go into the dialogue and the interaction and what they're thinking and what they're saying, because I would walk past the building probably and say, okay, that's a nice brownstone. Now, let's get to what they're doing. And you do need to have heard the feeling of the book. You do need to do that. So there's my weakness. Bared for all to see. I think that being a mother changes everything when you write a book like that, because I was sort of inside Hope, who was the mother, through the whole book, feeling what she was feeling and thinking about the horror of and she literally drove past, going in the other direction, the kidnapper. So as the kidnapper took her child, she was driving home to spend time with her child. And there's a lot of that feeling of what could I have done differently, what didn't I do, and then that awful, horrible sense of helplessness that she went through, which is why she was reaching out for anyone she could to help her. I think that being a mother, I think that any woman being a mother can relate to this, because it's such a horrifying feeling. And the first question everyone asks me is, please tell me if the child is okay at the end. And I always say, I never kill children or animals, so you're safe. Which isn't really giving anything away, because everyone who knows my writing knows I never kill children or animals. But I do think that being a mother, sometimes I had to stop because it was so painful for me to write. Especially because Chrissy's she's 5 years old, she's in kindergarten, and is kidnapped right from outside of school. So the carpool is there, it's something every mother sort of goes through and can relate to. It's a very difficult thing to have to live inside as you're writing it, and hopefully as you're reading it. The best thing about being a writer, for me, is loving what I do. I've done things that I didn't love every day. I'm not a corporate person. Cubicles freak me out. I'm very disciplined, so fortunately when I'm in my own office, I never not write. I mean, people will say, how do you force yourself? I don't force myself because I do love it. I don't always love it. There are days like every job where there's a blank page and I keep thinking maybe if I press page down, some wonderful muse will have appeared during the middle of the night and written some fabulous chapter. But on the whole, I think loving what you do and also getting feedback from people who are touched or moved or even just excited and want the next one and feel really excited or a lot of them touched by something in particular. That's, you feel almost like you're leaving a piece of yourself, even though it's not curing cancer. It's still touching people in a way that will be left behind.